Up next on the Tesla Plaid channel. Thank you for not running into me last week. Showtime Dragstrip, January 19th, 2022. Have some interesting cars out here. Some regulars. Okay, see the Cougar. I see the 920 horsepower Redeye Challenger. I also see the yellow Vega we raced last week. And some other interesting cars. Let's see who we can get lined up with. We got the yellow Vega out here again tonight. See if he's running any faster. All right, first race tonight is the Redeye Challenger that we raced out of Bradenton. We ran a better ET, but he beat us on the tree. So this Challenger is dynoed to 920 horsepower at the wheel. And he just ran a 6:07, personal best, 8th mile in that car. All right, we can't film the yellow Vega because we're about to run. And this 920 horse Challenger runs a Pro Tree. Gives me a chance to use out my new piece of equipment here that my wife designed for us. Our little Pro Tree placard. No way to forget with that on there. 00 reaction for the yellow Vega up there. And a 6:06 ET. So 6:06 for the Vega. Challenger just ran a 6:07. And we need some traction for this run. We also need a good reaction. Now we're peak performance ready. I see some sticky points on this track. And I'm gonna try to get in first. All right, the starter suggested I go all the way through. Robert, this is a Pro Tree, right?
Oh, it's got a Pro Tree, right?
Okay, we're not going to be able to get it into launch mode. There's no way. In fact, we got to get further up, deep. All right, here we go. Red? Oh no! I've been talking about it's really dang hard to red light on a Pro Tree, on a foot braked car anyway. I mean, you can do it on a trans braked car, but it's also a function of where you're staged. And I intentionally staged deep, partly because I've never red lit on a Pro Tree before. So I had to find that point at which you get too far forward and you leave on the yellow as soon as you see it. And well, we found that boundary, testing the edge of the envelope there. Unfortunate it was on that race, a race that I think we would have been able to win, perhaps with a mid 6:0. Let's see what we got. How you doing tonight?
Good, how are you?
Good, I red lit.
I see that.
On a Pro Tree, that's never happened. 6:48?
Yeah, I know you're usually in the low 6s.
Huh, strange. Oh, it's, okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I ran a 6:48 at 118.8, and the Redeye must have slipped the tires because he had a 170 60 foot. He ran a 676 at 113.2. Our 60 foots were both over 170. Mine was a 178 and his 170. He had a 0.35 reaction, and I had a negative 0.8. So I can't stage that deep if I'm going to leave as soon as I see yellows on the Pro Tree. That was unfortunate, but a learning experience. So we'll take what we learned to the next race, but now he's got me 2 in a row between this race and the last race out at Bradenton. That one where I slipped on the tree, I didn't know it was a pro tree. I didn't have this handy dandy piece of equipment. And then this one where I red lit. So two unforced errors, if you will, both of which I had a better ET. But that's drag racing, I lost them both. As I said before, I'd never red lit on a pro tree in my life, but I did there because I was just too deeply staged. So I gotta find the right place to stage, which is really tough without a spotter. A lot of these professional drag racers have a spotter out there that gets them into the exact right spot for their car and what their practice reaction time is like. Some cars need to be shallow, some of them have to be deep, some of them have to be somewhere in between, but it's really hard to be anywhere other than extremely shallow and barely deep unless you've got a spotter to make sure your tires are where you think they are. That's 2 in a row we lost to Mike, and hopefully we can take the next one. Our plan is as soon as the track is re-prepped, we're going to be the first 2 cars down, and if I make any other runs here in the next 30 minutes, that's only going to slow my car down for our race, and he's probably only going to get faster as the weather cools down as we get into the evening hours here after 8 o'clock. But should be prepped right after 8, and we're hoping for a close race. That's what we always want out here. So Mike brought out both of his Challengers tonight. He's got this smoke gray 1320 as well as his black Redeye with all the mods on it. The 1320 is completely stock, and the Redeye's got all kinds of mods that we've covered in one of our previous races. Well, there's a first time for everything. I have never red lit on a pro tree before. And I didn't leave until I saw yellow. Yeah. But you know why I red lit? You can probably tell.
You were deep stage.
I deep staged, yeah. Exactly. And I deep staged intentionally because I've never red lit on a pro tree before. So I figured I'm going to test the envelope here. And left as soon as I saw yellow and got an 08.
It doesn't take much.
Negative. So I think if I would have not gone as deep, I would have been in pretty good shape on that pass. Well, you must have been spinning.
Yeah, we shook the tires.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had to let out off the line.
You know, the strange thing is, I thought I had a good pass on ET.
You went on 170, 60.
Exactly, in a 648. So I didn't feel the slip. I think I was too busy dwelling on the red light. You know what I mean?
Yeah, as soon as I broke loose, I know. But I got onto it after that. I still won 113.
Yeah, and I went, I think, 118 if I'm not mistaken, but what a... So you got me 2 in a row, both of which I had a slightly better ET, but unforced errors.
I'm gonna wait until they prep again.
Yeah, 8 o'clock. I think that's the right move for your car.
There were not like 9 cars ahead of you guys with regular street tires, and it just tears the track. Yeah.
Surprising how bad it got that fast.
Yeah, it doesn't take much, that's for sure.
Give credit to Mike. His reaction times have been consistent. He has been practicing that pro tree for quite some time now, and I have probably just a dozen or a couple dozen out of my, what if we got about 1,300 passes since we started racing the Tesla in 2019, the other Tesla. When you've done 1,200 something passes on a sportsman tree and only a dozen or 2 on the pro tree, you can understand why I'm having some problems with it, both in terms of knowing it's coming, being prepared, finding the right place to stage, and then leaving at the right point when the lights come on. So let's see what we get in the next race. All right, they're just about done prepping the track. We've managed to line up so that we'll be the very first 2 cars down after this preparation. We're drag strip mode, peak performance ready. Battery's at 93%. We know in advance it's going to be a pro tree, and if we forget by the time we line up, then it's our own darn fault. And we're expecting the Redeye to run a 6.0. We're hoping to run a 6.0 as well, so this race very well should come down to the tree. We got to be sure to keep our tires dry as we go around the water box. We're going to roll through the beams, we're going to back up, we're going to try to go in first so that we can set up launch mode. And if we can get into launch control even most of the way before the light comes on, I think we've got a pretty good chance here. Let the cars do what they're supposed to do, and if the track is the way it should be, we'll hook up and get a good close race out of it. That's the plan anyway. All right, this should be the race of the night right here. This modified Redeye Challenger, 920 horsepower on big drag radials, on beadlock wheels, running E85. All right, we ran through intentionally. We're gonna back straight up. All right, bring on the pro tree. He's starting to roll up. So we're gonna start staging this thing. Okay, here we go. Oh, we left together. I'm gonna get him. And he had one of his better pro tree reactions. He's often a 0.3, but he was 0.2 something, and the car is definitely stuck. Not sure whether or not he had a 6.0, but I'm guessing I did. That felt really good. All right, for those of you keeping score, we've raced exactly 4 times since he's had that set up on that car, and we're now 2-2.
6'10".
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So I had beat him on our first race. I seem to remember he spun badly and ran like an 11. And then the next race we ran pretty similar ETs. I think I had a 9.3 to his 9.4 on the quarter mile, but I wasn't prepared for the pro tree and lost it on the tree. Then the third race here tonight, he beat me when I red lit, although I had a slightly better ET, but we were both spinning, so that race kind of sucked for both of us. And then what I believe is our first clean race here on this ticket. Let's take a look at the slip, and I'll come around and talk to him on that. It says a 6'10". All right, there's barely any ink in this printer, so it's hard to see the numbers. Looks like we ran a 6'10 at 120.3 on that freshly prepped track, and he had a 637 with 114.3 miles an hour. We both had 60 foots in the 150s. Looks like I had a 152 to his 151, and I had a slightly better tree, a 0.198 to his 0.290, it looks like. You gonna run again, immediate? All right, let's do it. Are you good with that lane?
Yeah, I can feel along the burnout, that's all.
Okay, I'll take left again. He wants to do a little longer burnout. We'll see if that makes a difference. I like the way we stage. I mean, it's pretty well perfect for my car if you're going to go the same staging approach. Cool. Let me try to figure out what's what. Hopefully it's in the left lane. My car can deal with it better than yours, but I think you're right. Well, we got a minute. I'm going to go up and talk to Robert. He's a straight shooter, and he'll tell me the story. So they're soaking something up. Yeah. Like the kitty litter deal.
Yeah. Can you back up just a little?
Yeah, absolutely. If you want left, I'll let you have it.
Because I think if it's that dust, it's going to go over both lanes.
It's just good. With this car, with the hot the way it is, it's a good race.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, we'll do it another day.
Well, we were hoping to do a rematch, but that's not going to work out because somebody spilled something, oil, tranny fluid or something in the right lane. They're not comfortable taking either lane. I offered to give them left lane. I'll go down and right. For that race I will, but they think that even the dust from the absorbent that they put on the track is going to prevent that car from getting traction, because that Redeye is right on the hairy edge of traction. So we've got the red Plaid out here again tonight, Roger. All right, interesting about the track, nothing actually spilled on the track in terms of liquid. No liquid was on the track. What happened was a Nova that had been just recently sandblasted went down the track, and sand that was all up in the fender wells and whatnot and got on the track just from the G-forces of it making its pass. So that's unusual. I hadn't seen that before either, but they had to blow all that sand off. But it's a very different thing than trying to soak up liquid out there with the absorbent material they used. In any case, the Redeye wasn't willing to go down again, so we're gonna run the red Plaid. We're gonna go off the tree. We're gonna try to both stage up. All right, we don't want to spin. We don't want the other car to spin either, but we can only control what we do here. All right, we're dropping it into launch mode. Robert, the starter, knows when to fire the tree when he sees the car get to a certain point on the suspension. And here we go. Now, oh, we're like really close and I'm spinning. Oh. Really close, I think he's gonna get me. Now, oh, we're like really close and I'm spinning. Oh, it's gonna be really close, I think he's gonna get me. Yeah, I could hear the car chirping its tires. Surprised me. My car was overpowering the track, and that issue with the sand was in the right lane, so they re-prepped the right lane. They didn't do anything with the left lane. Hopefully as they were blowing the sand, they were blowing it to the side and not into the other lane, but that was an interesting pass in terms of traction. So we launched pretty hard, and then I felt it chirping at different points, you know, a couple hundred feet. Maybe you could even hear it on the video, not sure. How'd we do?
620.
Yeah, I had some traction issues. Thank you. Very close finish. 0.04 of a second. So an 04 finish, the red Plaid took us, even though we had a much better reaction time. I had a 103 to his 222, and wow, his car ran a 604, better than any of our passes tonight, even though he's only at 82%. So his car hooked up and did really well. We ran a 620 at 119.0. He was 604 at 119.7. Interesting pass. You ran a 604, which I think is your best pass you've done in that car.
How could you even tell them? The ink on the time slip was so like gone. I offered to buy her a new inker.
Yeah. So yeah, if you put enough light on it. So you had a 604, which is your best pass in that car yet, right?
I actually ran a 590. Well, you tell me. I was running up in New York.
Okay.
At Empire Dragway,
yep.
And I ran the quarter mile,
yep.
But my 8th mile time showed a 599.
Really?
Is that the same as running an 8th mile?
It is. Yeah, 599 is the best I've ever done in my car.
That's the best I've ever had.
Now, it's kind of apples to oranges in that it's a different track, and not every track is calibrated identically, and who knows what the factors were that day, whether headwind, tailwind, this, that, or the other thing. But 599 is, I think, the best I've seen any car do stock without taking weight out of a Plaid or changing wheels or something of that nature. So that's awesome. And you were in the right lane, which that guy wouldn't go down in because, you know, he was concerned about traction. In the meantime, I'm over there. I don't know if you noticed, I treated you pretty good. And I was chirping and spinning and scrambling for traction the whole way down.
Yeah.
It just wouldn't hook up. So,
and I wasn't peak performance ready. I was still 2 minutes when I got to the line. Yeah.
wow. I was at peak performance ready from the moment we came around the corner. And I figured you were too because we were a minute off. When you were at 3, I was at 2. And I was there back then, and you were still at 2, so yours didn't advance.
Yeah.
And yet, I've had some really fast, mid-6 runs at 2 minutes remaining. So I think it's kind of diminishing returns at that point, but still, it was surprising, all things considered. I mean, on paper, my car should have taken that race, and yet that's the beauty of drag racing, isn't it?
Yeah.
You don't race on paper.
Right.
So awesome. That was a good race.
Yeah, that was a good race.
So interesting on that pass. So there was no liquid on the track after all. You guys know what happened out there on the track? So apparently that Nova that went down had just been sandblasted. So all that sand that you saw that you thought was soaking something
that's
up.
That's pretty fine. That's just as bad as liquid. Yeah, I mean that.
Yeah.
Those granules.
So anyway, they blew it all off, and the red Plaid went down to the right lane. He ran a 604 in that lane, and I went down in the left lane, and I was searching for traction the whole way down. I ran a 620 something.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Yeah. See.
And it all came down to traction.
Just because they did that lane doesn't mean it doesn't get out. That stuff's
well, that's
so
the thing
light.
is they were working on the prep in that lane, and they didn't do anything in the
That's
left
what I'm
lane.
saying. That stuff could easily have been drifted over to the left lane.
And these things, when they hop like that last race with you, it hopped. And when it hops like that, that's when you break stuff. It's just not worth it.
Yeah. Well, that's how my car sounded like. It was wheel hopping as I went down in the left, which was surprising. I mean, I had him on the tree all day long by over 1/10 of a second, and I still lost it because the car was just trying to get traction, couldn't get it. And my car's got 10% more battery juice out right now. I'm at 92, he's at 82.
That traction, depending on where you get it. That's why it's just, I was only going to come out here and make one run.
He would have hit
It's
him.
almost like when he gets on it, it's like it comes out of the hole so fast, but it almost like it loses as it goes. Because you think he's going to do better.
His gearing's so high in that thing.
Oh, okay.
Which, the Cougar?
Yeah.
Yeah.
8th mile car.
How'd that head go?
Oh, all day long.
But it comes out of the hole like a rain game. How you doing, Andrew?
Good.
Everybody here told me when I got here, you should have seen your brother Larry. His car was sideways when he was racing you. And the guy said, I could look through both side windows, and he saved it.
Yeah, he did save it.
And they went out there, and he said there was a patch of oil about that big on the track.
It was. So, Larry, I'd like to officially thank you for not running into me last week.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to do that.
Wouldn't have been good for either one of us.
No.
Yeah.
I like that idea.
Yeah. So I wasn't too far off.
That's out of the budget.
Yeah.
And he's my big brother.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're 3 years apart.
I want to be racing when I'm your ages and well beyond it. And I think you've got at least another 5 or 10 years of drag racing in you. So.
Oh yeah, I hope so. I like it. I don't want to give up. Oh.
As long as no Teslas get in front of them. I mean sideways.
Okay.
What was your best pass tonight?
Tonight 641.
641.
But 641, 641, 642.
Okay.
So.
And I didn't see red lights on.
32. I just had a red
The last run was a
32, 22, and 11 light. So
Okay, good. You get it dialed in.
first time in a very long time, 3 decent passes and didn't do something stupid until the last run.
Yeah. I'm finding new ways to lose races. I did something tonight. Seriously, I did something tonight I've never ever done before.
Uh-oh.
I red lit on a pro tree.
You! Wow!
That's not easy to do.
No.
It goes
No.
by pretty
No, it
quick.
really
It
man.
does.
They're really good.
I got an 08 negative. So,
So you got to put. You don't have a box on there, is there?
no.
Can you put
So
a
now
box
you
on
got to
it?
put the delay.
No.
They gotta
Not yet. There's talk about
Right.
whether that'll be
I didn't put 800ths of delay in your brain.
Yeah.
You try it, and it comes out like
Yeah.
half a second.
Yeah.
Yeah, you had him on the video the last time, and he did it 0009 red light.
Red, yeah.
That's like, wow.
That hurts. That
Yeah.
hurts. So just 3 races tonight. The 2 against the Challenger and the red Plaid. Good to see the red Plaid is running faster. Even our better reaction time wasn't enough to keep us ahead in that race. Tomorrow night we'll be out at the quarter-mile track in Bradenton. We're going out there every Thursday now that they've adapted the rules for 2022, allowing us to run flat out as long as we don't make modifications. And possibly in the future, they may allow us to make modifications if the NHRA changes the rule, as many people are expecting them to. So we'll see what happens with that, and we'll see you next time right here on the Tesla Plaid channel. Next on the Tesla Plaid channel.
I'll tell you what, my wife brought your videos up on her tablet.
Yeah.
And I've only seen them on my phone. That was nice. That was really good.
You should put them on a TV if you can. Yeah.
Put me on the TV. That
because
was freaky. Yeah.
The resolution is really good on these cameras.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
So.
What do you have for cameras?
GoPros for the most part.
Okay. Are they a better grade of one, or are they all about the same?
I have 8s and 9s, and I got them all at Costco for $250 to $330.
Yeah. Okay.
I think is the price.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're pretty darn reliable, and they all shoot at 4K resolution.
Yeah.
So you remember when HD was the thing 20 years ago when HD first came out, 1080 resolution?
Okay.
These have 4 times that resolution.
Wow.
4 times.
I remember when
high definition.
had FM radio, you were somebody.
You know, we were the first.
Then you had 2 speakers.
Hey,
Then
we
you
were
had
the
a
first people in
reverberator.
our neighborhood to have 2 TVs.
All right.
Yeah, one had sound and one had a picture.
All right.
So we had
And the
a
remote control was, hey, get that.
yeah, we had a channel 2 of them at a time because one did, you know, they were junk.
That's funny.
The good old days.
Yeah. See you guys next Wednesday.
All right, Andrew. Good
All
to
right.
see you.
But I'm going to see if I can find traction anywhere. You know, the track looked really good visually on my side in the line that I was in. And Robert,
It's okay for the average cars.
Yeah.
Either, like, this car's putting down too much horsepower for the wheel size. If I get a fresh track, I'm good. The other cars, they got the full
big
size.
tires,
They're gonna grip.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah. You think you'd ever go to that tire, swap them at the track? Or you always want something you can drive here?
I like something I can drive.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, let's try to line up. First one's down.
Yeah.
And
Definitely.
I'll try not to screw up the tree another way.
All right.
But my red light wasn't as bad as yours was, Lee.
No, mine was, dude, I left 2 weeks ago.
He was like,
Well, wait a minute, wait a minute. Let me see our time slip again.
So which one?
no, it wasn't 3 seconds like yours.
Mine wasn't 3 seconds.
That's what it was.
Yours was 0.3 early, if I remember. 0.314 was it? Something like that? But,
It seemed like an eternity.
yeah.
0.08 you were.
That was close.
So I was definitely a lot. Like I said, I left 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
I was like, hey, wait, the tree didn't start yet.
So, Mike, if you don't mind me asking, what are some of your... Sorry. What are some of your typical Pro Tree lights?
The lowest one I had was like a 0.118.
Okay.
But on average, it's like a 0.333 or 0.5 something.
0.3.5 to 0.5 generally. And that's with a shallow stage. You go like real shallow, the same way you would on a Sportsman.
Yeah, because I don't want if I give it too much RPMs, it'll push through the beams.
Gotcha.
And a deep staging, because as soon as those lights come on, I'm gone. I never see a green light.
And remember,
Oh, absolutely.
that's footprint.
And so you'll never red light, obviously, with that approach.
No, I've never even come close to red light.
Yeah.
And that's why it's so hard in the bracket races when I'm against people, because they're using a button and I'm foot braking.
Yeah.
They'll get me every time.
So I've had a couple of 0.1s on a Pro Tree, but I can't tell you where I was in the beams. I know it wasn't shallow. I rolled in and I didn't get to that deep, so deep that I turned out the other bulb. but that's the problem is you can't get any consistency.
Yeah, I try to stage the same way in either Sportsman or Pro.
Yeah.
Where as soon as I go into the second, the light starts to flicker, and then I'm in. That's it. I don't try to go any further than that.
Right.
Because Sportsman, I mean, the fastest one I had was a .001. I almost had a perfect light on Sportsman.
Yeah.
And I can get low like that. Pro Tree is just so hard.
It sure is.
Especially foot braking.
In a lot of the events that we race in, nobody can put you in the beams. The number one, if you do a burnout and you go past the starting line, you're DQ'd. Yeah. And number two, if somebody puts you in the beams.
Did you say you're DQ'd if somebody puts you in the beams?
Yeah.
And if you go past
as they can.
Yeah.
And then also if you pass in a burnout, if you go past the starting line, they DQ.
Yeah.
And deep staging, the people I see deep staging, the majority of the time they red light. Because you have to wait for the other car to go first in order to really not, you know.
So I'd like to be in the middle, but I don't know how to get in the middle. Consistently anyway.
Well, that's the thing with this car. I know I'm usually at an idle at about 1,000 RPM, barely touching the gas.
Yeah.
And I know as soon as that light comes on, I punch it.
Yeah.
And
but it seems like without a spotter, there's only two places where you can be consistently, and that's super shallow and then just tickle deep. And those are the only places without a spotter that you can know that you're at consistently.
Yeah. When we were doing the bracket racing, I don't know if you saw it, but I didn't see hardly anybody deep staging in the bracket with Pro Tree because there's so much of a chance for red lighting. I'd rather lose straight up than blow it at the line. You know.
Well, that's the first time I've ever red lit on a Pro Tree.
Yeah.
I mean, I was just trying to see, is it possible in my car? Because every car is a little bit
Well,
different.
I saw you deep stage. I was like, oh, this is something new.
Yeah.
I was like, okay.
I thought I'm going to take every little advantage I can get here.
Yeah.
You know, I've never red lit a Pro Tree before, so anyway. But
yeah, once they redo the track, we'll be the first ones up. I'll run again.
cool. I'll as soon as I see him put the cones down, I'm on him.
Okay.
We can get right up there. Cool. And whether we get front to back or side to side, are you good with right again?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. I'll see you then, Mike. Have fun with it.
I drove an S yesterday.
Which model?
The S. The
Yeah,
slow
well, like 100 or
It's the slowest one they make.
the non-Plaid version of that.
Yes.
Like a new one.
Yes.
Okay.
2022.
They're not that slow.
No, I was
about as fast
super
as my
impressed.
previous one. I think they'll do like a 10.9, I think.
It's the difference was when I'm in my car going that fast, I know I'm going that fast because it's going wah, wah, wah.
You don't know.
I looked down, I'm doing 70 miles an hour. I'm like,
Just like
holy.
that.
He's like, Mike, I've been waiting for you to come in. Here's my keys. Take my car for a ride. I'm like, what? And Uber actually rented that one for him to drive around.
Oh, so it's
until his comes in.
It's a temporary one.
Yeah, that's why he didn't mind giving me the keys.
I had the exact same thing happen. I had this coworker. This was in the 90s, like 94, and I had a buddy who had a Dodge Viper V10. And he didn't let anybody drive it under any circumstances. We talked cars a lot. I had my Fox buddy with nitrous at the time, which was fast. And one day he comes into work and drops keys on my desk and say, "You ready to drive the Viper?" And I go, "Hell yeah!" So we get on the freeway and I drive it for a while. And I say, "I can't believe you're letting me drive your Viper." And he goes, "This isn't my Viper. This is a loaner. Mine's in the shop."
Perfect time to let somebody borrow your car.
Isn't that the way it works?
That's funny. Wow.
Good times.